How was up, y'all? It's poppin'. It's Steve. About to react to this vid by Black Culture Unlocked. These are dark secrets Katt Williams tried to warn you about. This is the last video I'm gonna react to pertaining to this whole Katt Williams situation, but I skimmed through the video and it seems very dark and sinister. Things that, we may have missed watching the interview because people focused on the jokes and him, talking about Steve Harvey's mustache or whatever the hell he was talking about. People focused on the surface level silly stuff, but he really got deep. So we're going to get into the deep darkness of it all. So yeah, let's see what they have to say in this video. Let's watch.
On January 3rd, an interview with Katt Williams that lasted almost 3 hours sparked up a lot of controversy and quickly broke the internet. Katt Williams was interviewed on the Club Shay Shame show, hosted by Shanell. From discussing other comedians to sharing some painful truths about his own history, this interview has sparked conversation and even got other celebs to make a comeback after they felt criticized by Katt. But the question is, what was Katt trying to warn us about, and what lessons should we learn from this very honest interview with comedy legend? That's exactly what we'll talk about in this video. Lesson 1. Hardships don't define us. Imagine being completely broke and living on a bench in your local park. Many people would take this as such a huge hit that they wouldn't know how to get back up. However, going through hard times doesn't mean they define us or tell us who we are. And that's another really important lesson that comes from Katt's conversation on the show. It isn't really news that Katt decided to leave his family at the age of 13.
At 13, I shouldn't have to tell you I'm homeless. I'm in Miami, Florida. I have no family members in Florida.
He's been very open about his history in the past. However, he said a few things in this interview that shed extra light on the subject. While talking to Shannon, Katt admitted that after he left the home of his parents, who were Jehovah's Witnesses, he went to Florida. However, things didn't go well for him at first, as Katt had to spend some time living in the park. But here's the thing, being homeless wasn't something that defined who he was. Instead, Katt decided to continue pursuing what he wanted in life, and he reached for the career as a comedian that he dreamed about for a long time. Homelessness isn't uncommon among Black people. While about 13% of people in the United States are Black, our culture also represents about 37% of those who are homeless. Plus, when looking at families who have
I've been homeless a couple times.
Struggling with homelessness, more than 50% of these are Black.
I wasn't on the street homeless, let's be clear, but anyway, I'm going to my business. But yeah, I didn't have a home of my own a couple times.
Now, when considering the conversation when we look at the interview, it might not seem like Katt is trying to give us a warning. He's just casually talking about his own hardships. However, once again, we have to really dig deeper into what was said during the interview. That's going to shed some light on what Katt wanted us to know. And the warning that comes with this message is also an important life lesson. We shouldn't let hardships tell us who we are and what we can do. We should rather look at these hardships as a motivation, something to drive us towards something better. Katt's story is a true aspiration for Black people who are struggling and facing tough times. It's a reminder that no matter where you are in life, this doesn't define you. Now, it's important that we take this lesson from Katt and keep it in our thoughts, but there's another warning that we can also see from the message he shared. Number 2, Hollywood is evil. In the second lesson that we're going to cover, we want to focus on the fact that Katt is one of the latest celebrities to come out with claims about Hollywood's dark side. We actually did a video covering some of these factors before on our channel, and in this latest case, Katt reconfirms some of the things that have been said for so long. However, Katt seems to take things a step further and even brings religion into the picture this time. The fact that Hollywood is harboring secrets is nothing new in the modern day. In 2020, Ricky Gervais gave what many called a jaw-dropping opening speech for the Golden Globes, where he actually touched on a number of subjects that seemed sensitive at the time, but people soon started to understand that were all real.
Open the gate. Didn't Kevin open the gate and let Tiffany in? Ain't he now opening it up for...
Previously, even the likes of Daniel Radcliffe mentioned the dark side of all the fame and glamour that tend to come with the name Hollywood, where he specifically noted
Speak on it, Harry.
World. Just take a moment to look at the history of Hollywood, and you'll realize that he was telling the truth. Yes, Daniel isn't part of Black culture, but what he said held a lot of truth to it. There have been several cases where black people were left out or not given the recognition they deserved. Oftentimes, white celebrities receive the awards that black people had worked hard for. Let's not get off topic. The main thing that Katt wants us to know here is that there is a darker side to the glamour and flashing lights we see when watching celebrities walk the red carpet. This leads us to a question that Shanell asked Katt during the interview. He asked Katt if he wasn't scared to be so forthcoming and expose the truth. Katt is known for stating the truth and not beating around the bush, so this was the factor that Shanell wanted to stress on during the initial part of the interview. And when asked whether he feared these Hollywood insiders, Katt was able to respond by saying these people aren't actually powerful. In fact, he even went as far as to bring Satan and God into the conversation, stating that Satan doesn't have the capability to grant blessings to the people who follow him. He continued to say that those people who come to Hollywood and decide to sell their soul have an even more important job than starring in films or showcasing massive mansions. Apart from these jobs, Katt stated that they also had the important job of making sure no one knew they sold their souls. He had more to say though. He continued by stating that there is God's side, and then there is the other side. And the other side, in the conversation that Katt had during the interview, clearly pointed towards Satan. He also mentioned that in 2024, hell's catching up, and it's up for all of them. In this conversation, he brought up a few names, including T.D. Jakes and Diddy. This is also where things started to get a bit crazier, and now Katt was starting to mention names while talking about dark things of Hollywood, and even about Satan in religious terms. After mentioning these names, Katt said that lies will now start to become exposed as we enter 2024.
For all of them, it don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, T.G. Jakes, any of them, all lies will be exposed. That's all.
Now, at this point, especially since this interview was only a few days ago, we don't really know exactly what Katt meant. Did he come into this interview with a warning, a threat, or just to tell the truth according to what he's seen throughout his Hollywood career? These are things that will probably come to light as we go further down in the year. What we do know is that Katt likely used this to tell us, the people, that we need to be careful. He could have used this as a message to those who are aiming to become a recognized figure in Hollywood. While it's possible, and the stars are the limits, you need to be careful and understand what you're signing into. Lesson 3. Religion, churches, and fake people. Okay, so this one's a bit of a sensitive topic, and one that has received a lot of controversial and conflicting comments. But if you've watched the entire interview with Katt Williams, one thing that you might have noticed is he frequently talks about his own faith. Katt considers himself a Christian, and even left his parents at 13 because he didn't agree with their way of practicing this religion. They were Jehovah's Witnesses, and his father didn't allow him to practice Christianity outside of their own beliefs. Skipping a bit forward into the interview, you'll notice Katt bringing up an important topic, the topic of Kanye West creating his own church. This isn't anything new. The Kanye West church service started out in 2019 and grew rather quickly among fans of not only this famous rapper, but also the Kardashians. Kim Kardashian, his wife at the time, was the first person to announce that the church services, or Sunday service as she called it, would be offered to the public. At first, it was an exclusive service reserved for Kanye's friends and family. According to Kim, Kanye started this entire service as a means to heal himself. Not much was said about what he needed healing from, but Kanye has talked about hardships in his past before. After starting a church that quickly became popular and began to attract the attention of many followers, Kanye decided to head in a new direction with his music. This time, he turned to the gospel genre. It's not really uncommon for artists in the music industry to change the genre they're in. However, a lot of people didn't really expect this particular turn of events, as Kanye moved from being a rapper who was cursing in every song to calling himself a gospel singer. Now, there is a lot of information available about how everything got started. According to Kim Kardashian, Kanye's producer, Ray Romulus, contacted Jason White, a well-known choir director, to get a band together. During rehearsal, Kanye noted that he wanted to rewrite some of the lyrics in order to remove the curse words. Jason White has since commented, stating that things were much different than what he thought. While most of those involved considered this a short-term project, it quickly became a weekly event. The band has expanded since the start. The church has gained a lot of followers. Kim did explain that it's not really a church in the sense of the traditional establishments. Instead, it's rather a community that gets Christians together to praise the Lord. Apart from starting this church, Kanye has also recently moved towards gospel music. He even won all of the gospel awards in 2022. This is where things get interesting. Katt said some interesting things during the interview with Shanell. He even referred to Kim Kardashian as a hoe, stating that this is what Kanye decided to marry.
Respect, the guy married her. Like what?
Shanell questioned him about his choice of words, and Katt quickly replied that he didn't mean it like that. However, what was said, and it's important that we heed the message Katt tried to convey during this part of the interview. So, this brings us to the question, what exactly is the message that Katt wants to give us, and what did he warn us against? Well, to understand why Katt said these things, it's important that we consider all of the controversy that has circulated around the entire Kanye West Sunday service and his move towards the gospel genre. Of course, as with anything in the modern day, there are two sides when looking at the average community. There are those who are in full support of Kanye's new direction, and those who are opposed to it. And to get a better idea of what Katt is saying, we'll have to take a closer look at the latter. A lot of people have given their opinion on Kanye's church and his effort to establish his name as a gospel singer. As Katt mentioned during the interview, Kanye went from cursing one moment to playing God the next, and he even called himself Jesus. And, as Katt mentions, Kanye has even gone as far as to call himself God.
You're the one that put him in a position where he thought he was God and could call himself Jesus.
Yes, that's one of the songs you can hear on his Yeezus album. Kanye has, of course, answered some questions about this controversy. In one interview, he mentioned that West was actually his slave name and that his God name is Jesus. However, when faced with all the conflicting opinions, he doesn't seem to care much. There was also an interview where Kanye specifically mentioned the fact that they didn't care about the opinions from outside. He focused on making a good product and commercializing it, and that resulted in his Yeezus album. Now, something to keep in mind is the fact that the Yeezus album was released a decade ago, so Kanye's plans might have started much sooner than many of us think. Take a closer look at reports regarding the Yeezus album. It turns out it doesn't really align with who Kanye claims he is today. In fact, according to the art director who worked on this album, it was originally called Thank God for Drugs and not Yeezus. Kanye only later on decided to change the name of the album. One thing we can say for sure, especially after watching the interview, is that Katt isn't afraid to
Chris got a fucking talk show.
This included commenting on Kanye's recent decisions. But what's the lesson here? What did Katt warn us about? Everyone will likely make their own conclusion in this regard, but we can say that it's likely that Katt wants us to know that just because a celebrity decides to showcase their Christianity, open up a church, and become a gospel icon, doesn't mean it's all real. While Katt didn't call all of this fake, we can see that a lot of people who aren't fans of Kanye's decisions suggest it might have been done for the money. It's definitely nothing new that people sometimes use religion as a way to profit. The sudden decisions by Kanye, and considering both his and Kim's large fan base, might be evidence that there is more to the story than Kanye trying to heal himself. At this point, we have to consider the fact that in just the first week, Jesus is King, the gospel album by Kanye, sold an estimated 264,000 copies. Do the math on that, and you'll quickly realize just how profitable this was for everyone involved in the project. If you've learned something...
Oh, he talked a lot about Kanye towards the end there. I mean, who's really looking at Kanye as a religious figure? I mean, I guess some people are, but why? I never took it seriously, to be honest with you. I was just like, oh, like it seemed like he was going through a phase or something, but I don't know this man, so maybe he is really serious about his religion, but he just doesn't strike me as a very religious person. It's not giving authentic, but that's just my opinion. I don't fucking know. Interesting though. Y'all let me know what y'all think though. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!